Hi, my name is Maddie, and I will be teaching my trainee the different levels of prompting and also modeling each prompt. Prompting is an important aspect of learning, especially when teaching new skills to those with autism. According to abaedu.org, prompting encourages the client to perform a task until they learn how and when to do it independently. However, the ultimate goal of prompting is prompt fading, so the learner can independently respond correctly. This is important because it gives assistance to learning new skills and showing the learner what is expected to gain the correct response and get reinforcement. Overall, there are many types of prompting. However, I will only be reviewing the 6 main types of prompts used most frequently in ABA. I will be discussing each type of prompt in order from least intrusive to most intrusive. This means that the first prompt discussed requires little effort on the therapist's part, whereas the last prompt requires the most effort put in. I did create a pyramid diagram that shows the 6 prompts I'll be reviewing in order from least intrusive at the top and most intrusive at the bottom. Although I created the diagram myself, the order of the prompts is from the Nitziel and Worley 2009 article, Steps for Implementation Least to Most Prompts. Although there is research supporting most to least prompting being associated with fewer errors than least to most prompting, according to Libby et al. 2008, Nitziel and Worley 2009 made great points on why least to most prompting may be beneficial. The article states that the therapist chooses a prompt based on the learner's characteristics and skills. The example given in the text is, what if a kid doesn't like to be touched? In this case, most to least prompting, in which the physical prompting would be used first, it would not be a good method to use right away. Another thing mentioned in the Nitziel and Worley 2009 article is using least to most prompting allows a therapist to see where the learner is in terms of prompting needs. If using least to most prompting, it allows the learner to attempt the correct response without being fully controlled by the therapist, like in physical prompting, which is the most intrusive prompt level. Okay, the first and least intrusive prompt is gesture prompting, which is kind of what it sounds like, and it means that the trainer will gesture towards the correct response. This can be used during table work or in the natural environment. For example, if using it during table work, I can say, show me the car. Good job. If you use it in the natural environment, like in the gym, you can say, go give me the red ball, and point in the direction where the ball is. The next prompt is verbal prompting. This type of prompt requires verbal language to guide the learner to the correct answer. You will see this type of prompt most when teaching verbal language. For example, I will be teaching my trainee to request a cup. What is this?
Cup.
Good job. Another example for verbal prompting is to teach verbal fill-ins when teaching something like animal sounds, for example. I can say, a cow says,
Moo.
Good job. There are different types of verbal prompting, like light verbal prompting, partial verbal prompting, and full verbal prompting. However, I'm just speaking of verbal prompting as a whole. But just to note, the verbal prompts I was giving with my training would be considered light verbal prompting. The third prompt to discuss is visual prompts. You will use this type of prompt when teaching a learner to recall something from memory or when asking what or where they want to go. For example, I can present a toy car and say, a car says,
vroom, vroom.
Good job. By doing this, it helps the learner use this visual cue to recall in their memory what a car says. Also, another thing to note with this is when teaching this type of prompt, the learner doesn't necessarily have to respond verbally. They can respond via communication device if that's what they use, whatever is best for the learner. And if that's the case, then I can simply provide different pictures of maybe different locations and ask them, where do you want to go? And they will they can either point or use their communication device or speak verbally on where they want to go based on the examples I gave. The next type of prompt is model prompting, which is where the prompting effort begins to pick up for the trainer. This type of prompting includes simply modeling the correct response. Although you may only see this prompt for imitation targets or following instruction targets, it can be used for many other instructions, like show me the pencil. Good job. I modeled the correct response of pointing to the pencil, which indicates that they should touch the pencil. Another thing, which is when you're going to see it most typically, is touch nose. And in that instance, I am modeling the correct response. The next prompt discussed is proximity or positional prompting. I've seen it with both words. It really means the same thing. This type of prompt is not included in the NIDSEAL and Worley 2009 article. However, it's mentioned in many other prompting hierarchies, including the one listed in the assignment document. This type of prompt means that the correct answer will be in closer proximity to the learner to thus encourage the learner to choose it first. An example of this would be touch the car. Good job. In this example, the car was positioned closer to the learner, encouraging them to click on or to touch this one rather than the one further away. The last and most intrusive prompt includes physical prompting. Similar to verbal prompting, there are many subtypes of physical prompting, like light physical prompting, partial physical prompting, and full physical prompting. However, I'm just speaking of physical prompting as a whole for this training video. This type of prompting includes the trainer to physically touch and place or guide the trainer's hand or arm towards the correct response. And this is why it's considered the most intrusive, because you are, again, touching and moving the learner towards the correct response. For this one, I can say, show me the car. And again, I'm physically touching the learner and moving the arm to the correct response. That is all 6 types of prompts included in the hierarchy, as shown in the video or is shown in the diagram. And you can see the arrows pointing most to least, prompting from the very bottom to the top, whereas least to most starts from the top of the pyramid and goes down to the bottom. On the next slide, you will see my references for this training video. I hope you'll enjoyed and learned the different prompting levels. Thank you.